Israeli football fans of Maccabi Tel Aviv have been forbidden from attending the Europa League game in Britain with Aston Villa planned for November 6th. This was announced yesterday, the very same day that Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer announced a plan to tackle anti-Semitism in Britain in the wake of the murderous Islamist attack by Jihad al-Shami at the Manchester synagogue.
We're putting in an additional £10 million for the protection of the Jewish community. We want to work with you on that to really step up the work that the government is doing.
Birmingham's Safety Advisory Group banned the fans, with West Midlands Police announcing this decision is based on current intelligence and previous incidents, including violent clashes and hate crime offences that occurred during the 2024 UEFA Europa League match between Ajax and Maccabi Tel Aviv in Amsterdam. Based on our professional judgment, we believe that this measure will help mitigate risks to public safety. But it gets worse still. Local MPs openly celebrated the decisions, calling the fans Zionists and terrorists. The incident does not just expose the depth of Britain's anti-Semitism problem, but reveals the total failure of multiculturalism and Britain's mass migration disaster. Just to be clear about what has happened, British police do not feel capable of handling the inevitable pro-Hamas hate marches that will no doubt target the Israeli fans. The same types we've witnessed on the streets of our country almost every weekend since October 7th, 2023. And so the police have decided that better to forbid the Israeli fans rather than the hate-filled anti-Israel protesters. Independent MPs Ayub Khan and Iqbal Mohammed, and those on the far left who support this decision, are deliberately lying about a previous Maccabi Tel Aviv game to bolster their argument.
Clearly, we have all witnessed the scenes in Amsterdam, the violence that was displayed by the fans the night before the match. We all watched and listened to those vile chants of hatred and racism. And so there's no space for that kind of behaviour here in Birmingham. There's certainly no space for that kind of conduct in Aston. So I'm very pleased that both the West Midlands Police and Aston Villa Football Club have now written to UEFA informing them of their decision not to allow any fans from entering Birmingham and Aston.
They claim that Maccabi fans took the streets of Amsterdam in their game against Ajax in November last year and were instigating fights and vandalism. Whilst it is true that the fans were at times singing provocative songs and getting rowdy, what they omit is what actually happened. Firstly, as this video from the Telegraph shows, it was the Maccabi fans who were violently attacked.
For the children! For the children!
I'll give you my money, I'll give you, please go.
That's Palestine, huh? That's Gaza, Now you know how it feels, eh? Now you know how it feels.
Say free Palestine and we go. Good.
Come here up, bitch. Come.
But worse still, it had been an explicitly anti-Semitic, premeditated attack. The Telegraph reported on Thursday night a terrible echo of the Jew hunts that took place during the German occupation played out just a few hundred yards from Anne Frank's house as Israeli football fans were pursued through the streets and attacked. Videos posted on social media showed fans of the two teams being punched, kicked, and humiliated as pro-Palestinian marchers shouted anti-Semitic slurs. Now, it has emerged that the attacks on the Jewish football fans were planned in advance and coordinated using WhatsApp and Telegram. Those messages included, quote, part 2 of the Jew hunt, and calling the Jewish fans, quote, cancer dogs. It was a dark night for the Netherlands. But to prevent such horror repeated on the streets of England, the answer is not to ban Israeli fans. The answer is to police the anti-Semitic protesters in our midst. But this incident exposes a much deeper problem in Britain. Aston Villa is in Birmingham, Britain's second city. Birmingham's demographics have changed significantly since the end of the war, or more specifically, since the beginning of post-war immigration. Then it was almost entirely white British. Today it is only 48.7% white. It has become Britain's biggest Muslim city. The stadium itself, in the constituency of Aston Park, represented by independent MP Ayub Khan, who has not only been openly celebrating the decision, but he'd been campaigning for it. Aston has the smallest white population in all of Britain at only 8% as of the 2021 census, with 68% being South Asian and 61% Muslim. Herein lies the problem. Anti-Semitism is a fundamental tenet of fundamentalist Islam, and as per the Henry Jackson Society survey of 2024, only a quarter of British Muslims believe Hamas committed rape and murder on October 7th. Mass migration And the failure of integration or assimilation means enclaves have formed. These enclaves live a different reality with a different worldview and different moral codes. Is it really a surprise then that Khan was elected to parliament, a man who called the Pakistani rape gang scandal a, quote, false right-wing narrative, and has been advocating for a new airport in Mirpur, Pakistan, as if it had been anything to do with British interest? But fellow independent MP Iqbal Mohammed, the MP who called Maccabi fans Zionists and terrorists, may be even worse. You may remember him from when he was openly defending cousin marriage in Parliament.
It is important to recognise for many people this is a highly sensitive issue, and in discussing it, we should try to step into the shoes of those who perhaps are not from the same culture as ours. The reason the practice is so common is that ordinary people see family intermarriage overall as something that is very positive, something that helps build family bonds and helps put families on a more secure financial foothold. Instead of stigmatizing those who are in cousin marriages or those inclined to be, a much more positive approach would be to facilitate advanced genetic test screening for prospective married couples, as is the case in all Arab countries in the Persian Gulf, and more generally to run health education programs targeting those communities where the practice is most common. I would therefore urge the House to vote against this motion.
Unlike the rest of Europe and the world, Britain's history of being a safe place for Jews is relatively proud. To not allow the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans to attend the game is to cower to the racists. It is total submission. Starmer has since tweeted out against the decision by the police, but whether he actually does anything about it is yet to be seen. His premiership so far has been only one of empty virtue signaling. This story is the inevitable conclusion of the post-war consensus that is destroying Britain. The open society consensus embraced by both the anti-West left and the globalist right has allowed for the mass importation of people who are not just anti-Semitic, but anti-West. Not only were they invited and imported into Britain, they were then elected to Parliament. Theirs is a worldview that is an inversion of all that is good. It is based on lies. Lies like the lie that Israel is committing genocide when it has been waging a just war against an evil terrorist organization. And the progressive lie that has allowed them in is that all people want the same thing. They don't. Islamists do not want the same thing as us. Anti-Semitism is a central tenet of their ideology. The failure to stand up to these extremists in Britain will only embolden them. And if our leaders and police do not have the courage to stand up to them, then they are just as contemptible. Thank you for watching, and until next time, be well.